access crypto, we need to make it easy, and we need to allow them to do that very simply. So for us, like, we were very excited about WonderFi because of the fact that they have the two longest running crypto product, and they are also fully licensed and regulated. And so we think it's a great way for us to bring the mission of Robinhood into Canada.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Freedom, and I'm from California. And I do love Robinhood. My cousin is Kevin Grant, who's an investor in Robinhood. My question for you is, in light of the data breach that we had with Coinbase yesterday, what do you think are the implications in terms of like trust in the general population? It's taken so much to get where we are, in order for the world to adopt cryptocurrencies, and like the Coinbase being the standard. What do you think? What were the implications, and what do you think about that?
Well, I think for us, in any case, like when something happens like this in the industry, it's a bad thing, right? We want customer to be safe, to feel safe, we want their assets to be safe, and their data as well. I think for Coinbase, I don't know too much about the details yet, and I don't think it's very public, but we are always looking at ways to implement more security into our system and to review if there is any way for us to improve our systems. We do regularly penetration testing and audit of our system and of our security to make sure that something like this won't happen. But overall, we hope that everything is going to go back to normal at some point.
Next question.
Hi, Halima from Robinhood News. I'm just wondering, I think now in Canada, WonderFi obviously being a Canadian company, what do you see the demand being for Canadian-backed stablecoins, and what do you think it would take for us to get there to see more of these?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, I think from a Canadian stablecoin perspective, I don't think the demand is really there to justify it. That's probably why you haven't seen one emerge yet. When you think about the business model behind stablecoins, obviously it depends on deposits and the interest income that's derived off of those. And so when you think about the scale needed for a successful stablecoin, I just don't think the demand is there yet for the Canadian dollar stablecoin. And when you think about the US dollar and its unique demand globally, obviously that's why it's emerged as the de facto stablecoin in the crypto markets. And we probably will continue to see more demand for US dollar stablecoins in Canada for quite a long period of time before a Canadian stablecoin actually emerges at scale.
Next question. Going once, going twice.
Just wondering, some of the stablecoin vendors behind us said in America you have yield-bearing products. In Canada, it's a bit slow. Maybe regulations and the banks are kind of gatekeeping those products. Do you see those innovative products eventually coming to Ontario and Canada?
Yeah, I mean, Canada is unique, and so the crypto trading platforms that are licensed in Canada are unable to trade Tether and offer that to its clients. Late last year, there was a push for the regulators to have USDC moved out of the market as well. A few platforms, including the ones we operate, came together to push for a framework in which USDC would be allowed to remain in the market. And so there's a unique view on stablecoins in Canada. And so that's probably the main reason why some of these innovative stablecoins that offer the yields of a unit holder haven't come through yet. But when you think about what's happening in the US from a regulatory perspective, hopefully through regulation around stablecoins in the US will lead to a more mature market. Canadian regulators can look at that as a data point in which they can get more comfort around some of these products, including yield-bearing stablecoins, and I expect it's just a matter of time. And I think what's happening in the US will accelerate that in many ways. Yes.
So yesterday we talked to Mr. Wonderful, and we talked about the executive orders by President Trump, and he basically said that an executive order doesn't have the effect of law, and therefore it could be reversed in just 2 minutes by the next administration. So we know that we do have the Genius Act in the process. There's no guarantee that it's going to pass, but it's close. What are some of the things that you have in place in case it doesn't pass?
You mean for stablecoin, what happens if the Genius Act doesn't pass? Well, I think so far in the US there is still a lot of discussion happening. If this bill doesn't pass right now, I think the next vote is on Monday. There will be more discussion. But I think at this point, with a new administration, with a new SEC, with a new focus on crypto technologies and the need for regulation, I'm pretty hopeful that we'll come to some kind of bill and agreement there. I think if you look at the EU, there's a MiCA framework now for that regulates also stablecoins. You see it also in Singapore. You start to see pretty much the entire world getting to a place where they can regulate things correctly. And so I don't think the US want to lag behind.
Well, even if that's the case, considering that we just had this massive data breach that cost $400 million with Coinbase, and we're dealing with Congress, who are going to vote based on public opinion in the United States, there is a likelihood that the likelihood of it passing actually reduced in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, look, data breach have happened in the past. There was some credit institution that got in the past as well. They're still here, they're still standing. I don't think necessarily we need to commingle an issue of one company that is using crypto or offering crypto and the entire industry. At the end of the day, crypto is a huge market. It's a multi-trillion dollar market. I don't think we need to summarize everything for what happened to Coinbase at this point.
Alex from Wolverine on the Move. Just for WonderFi in general, why have you been surprised how long it's been taking for users and mass population Canadians to be using crypto more? What's the one thing that needs to be done with stable coins? And I don't think even institutions are really touching stuff. They might be looking at it, but what's holding them back?
I think from a retail perspective, we have some of the highest adoption rates globally, and we've seen really strong adoption over the years, dating back to the 7 years since I've been in the industry. We've seen retail participants continue to have interest in crypto, originating with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then learning more and getting exposure to the whole variety of assets that we list on our platform. And I think the regulatory framework that exists in Canada, which is unique, that licenses crypto trading platforms, actually gives retail participants more confidence to invest in this asset class, and we've seen that on a pretty steady rate over the last 3 to 4 years since regulation's been in place. From an institutional perspective, I think generally the institutions are a little more conservative in Canada. We have launched the first Bitcoin ETF. We recently launched the first Solana ETF in Canada, and so there is interest in the asset class, and there is a lot of creativity in moving these products forward. When you think about really the larger institutions, whether it's the big 5 banks or the pension plans, I think they are generally more conservative and probably look to the U.S. as the catalyst to get comfort on. And so, dating back to last year when the U.S. ETFs launched and the success which they generated, I think that was a big signal. And now that you're starting to see the current administration talk favorably about the asset class and actually trying to put forward favorable regulation, I think that'll be the next catalyst that pushes the institutions in Canada more into the asset class.
Any other questions?
I saw WonderFi sponsoring a lot of events that are local meetups, including the Solana one. A lot of the blockchains are having more meetups. I guess I'll take this offline, but the Avalanche Canada group is growing as well, so maybe that's something WonderFi would be interested in.
Yeah, happy to talk. I think generally we wanted to sponsor local meetups and really support the different communities that exist within Canada. A lot of this industry is driven by community, and so we recognize that, and for us to sponsor and build relationships with the various protocols and the people that are supporting them, it has a big impact on our platforms. And if we can have those relationships, we can drive those engaged users to our platforms, which has a real impact on our business.
Any more questions?